and welcome to Reticular Today. Today we are going back to the year 1989. A viewer sent me this suggestion for an investigation, and thanks to the viewer, it was a really good idea. We are investigating the Voronezh UFO incident in Russia, and I give you a brief description of what happened and what eyewitnesses described. So there was this spherical spaceship, like round spherical spaceship they saw in the sky, and it was like orange red on the outside, and it landed in what we would call a park, a recreational area, and the spaceship opened up, and there were some entities coming out of the spaceship that were described as androids or robots with spherical helmets and some box-shaped androids or robots on two legs, and some tiny creatures. And they described the larger or the taller entities as about 3 meters, and the taller like 1.3 meters, about that. And the box shaped was the same size like the tinier ones. So, and what happened is they were walking around, and they had devices in their hand, and that's pretty much the incident. Later, they went back to the ship, and they flew away. So it got a lot of attention in the international media. Even Jacques Vallée investigated this incident, and a user suggested this one to investigate, and thanks a lot for this suggestion. It was really exciting. The results are really exciting, but it leaves some questions. So first of all, the spaceship had the size of about 40 feet in diameter. It was round shaped, 40 feet in diameter, and the outward appearance, this red orange outward appearance, was created by a high voltage on the surface, on the outside of the spaceship, and the high voltage turned the surrounding air into plasma, and that appears at a red-orange glow around the ship. So the ship was estimated, it's not my investigation, the ship was estimated between 9 and 12 tons, because they calculated it from the impressions in the soil that the spacecraft left on the lawn. So what did they do? Why were they there, and why did they land in a very populated area in the middle of Russia? And I got the location here on Google Maps, and you can have a look at it. Here is the coordinates. You can write them down and look for yourself. I don't know if the buildings were there back then, but the current pictures or images on Google Earth show this. This is from Google Earth, so I don't know if these buildings were already there back in 1989. So what happened? They went outside, and they were walking around, and the witnesses described them as if they would investigate something. And this is kind of interesting. So they left the spacecraft, were walking around, and there were people, and they were not impressed in no way of those people standing around. They were looking around, and what they had these devices in their hand, and these devices were built for a special purpose. And that's quite interesting because it gives light on many other UFO incidents and sightings all over the world. This device is able to pull out isotopes out of any material. That means if they point this device on something like a tree or soil, and if there is a special isotope in it, they can pull out the isotope into this device, so they can harvest or collect it. And quite interesting is what isotope this is. It was cobalt. The isotope was cobalt 60. So I'm not a physicist, a scientist for any elements or isotopes. I have no idea what that means. I was looking up cobalt 60 after the viewing and looked for it where it occurs naturally. Cobalt 60 doesn't occur anywhere naturally. It's also only produced in power plants, in power plants, in nuclear power plants. So that's a place where cobalt 60 is produced, and they had this device where they can pull out these isotopes out of any material, even out of human bodies, and collect it. So maybe this is the reason why we see spacecrafts all over the world, very close to nuclear power stations. And the question is, why would they think they would find cobalt 60 in this populated area? I have no idea. I tell you, I have no idea why they would think they would find cobalt 60 in that area. They probably need it for some machinery or device or whatever, but cobalt 60 seems very important to these entities. So they collected this, and as I said, I have no idea why they would think that they would find cobalt 60 in this populated area. Because you only find cobalt 60 in contaminated areas caused by a explosion of a nuclear reactor, like in Fukushima or Pripyat, Chernobyl. There you would find cobalt 60 outside a nuclear power plant. So, were they hiding an incident that took place in Russia, and they were hiding it? I don't know. I have no idea. At Chernobyl in Pripyat was in 1986. It was 3 years earlier. So I have no idea why they would think they would find cobalt 60 there in this populated area where kids were playing, and people were living. So that's the first finding in this investigation. That's very, very interesting, I think. The second is, who were the entities? The entities were between 5'11" and 6'9" tall, and I already have identified them in an earlier investigation. If you recall the viewing of the moon, of the backside of the moon, there you will find the same entities. So they had like this light blue skin, pinkish skin underneath these very light blue skin. They have bigger eyes, and I think that's not a result from the viewing. That's a guess. I think it's the same entity that was in the incident of 1953 with Eisenhower, where he had this appointment, that mysterious appointment with a dentist, and that was probably a meeting with extraterrestrial or with NHI. I would say, I don't know if they are extraterrestrials, but I think these are the same entities. So why would they think? The question is, why would they think they're gonna find cobalt-60 in a populated area? Why would they think they could harvest cobalt-60? There's the isotope. They were looking just for the isotope, nothing else. And what do they need it for? What's the purpose? I mean, it's a artificial made isotope made from cobalt-59. So I have no idea. I have no idea, and it only occurs in nuclear power plants. So that's probably the reason why we always find spacecrafts, UAPs around nuclear power plants. What for what do they need cobalt-60? That's a big question. I wasn't able to answer. So we have two findings, or three findings. The outward appearance of the spaceship, the red-orange appearance of the spaceship, was made by the surrounding air around the spaceship. Due to high voltage, it turned into the air turned into plasma, and that was the orange-red glow. The entities were looking for cobalt-60, and there were like the bluish entities that appeared in on the viewing on the backside of the moon. So yeah, that's all I could find out. So I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.